think we've double topped on Bitcoin now, and I think it's time probably that we see some of this liquidity get eradicated from the market. A lot of people going long on Bitcoin and other crypto assets, and kind of just getting irrational with the dog coin mania and a lot of these cryptos that have no utility.
Welcome everyone to another episode of StockPulse.com's Inside the Markets. Today we are more than honored to be sitting down with R.L. Bryer, a well-known crypto thought leader who recently predicted approximately the top in Bitcoin, and he has some more unfortunate news for those who are bullish on Bitcoin. We spoke with David Morgan yesterday, and he also had a similar sentiment for perhaps slightly different reasons. I know, RL, you're quite technical, so I want to hear about how you called the Bitcoin top. Tell me about the terms of this Bitcoin top, what you saw coming, how it played out, and then we'll get into what's going forward.
Justin, it's great to be back with you today, sir. First time on StockPulse. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so in 2019, I put out, and you and I have talked about it previously on your Gold Silver Bitcoin show, that in 2019, I put out a video about Bitcoin, the potential of Bitcoin peaking at $65,000. And we hit that mark a few months ago, and I was sort of wondering, whether or not that was going to be the top or not. And we ended up going up and making just a 6% higher top. So I think we've double topped on Bitcoin now. And I think it's time probably that we see, some of this liquidity get eradicated from the market. A lot of people going long on Bitcoin and other crypto assets, and kind of just getting irrational with the dog coin mania and a lot of these cryptos that have no utility. So I think we'll probably step back now, and we're probably going to test 42,000 first, and then I could eventually see us maybe going down to 33K on the charts. It's showing 33K, and then maybe in the long run we end up going back down to retest the old all-time high at 20,000, the 20,000 level. Because if you look at the Bitcoin chart, I can't show you right now, but if you look at the Bitcoin chart, I think you guys put the images up. That was the old all-time high at 20,000. We never really did a real back test to that region on the breakout. The momentum took us a lot higher. It was like one big engulfing candle. So on the way up. So I'm pretty certain that this is the top. I never give financial advice, but I think that it makes sense. This is somewhere that I thought, like I said, I missed by about 6%. I said 65K. We got a little bit higher, and then the volume was very weak on that next breakout. And it just looks like the market's run out of gas with all the news surrounding the Fed. And I think the stock market could be in for a reversal too. So it just feels like time.
There's a lot to unpack there. So in 2017, 2018, when Bitcoin rose to $20,000, there was quite a blow off top at the end there. There was a mania at the end there that was, I think, represented pretty clearly on the chart. We haven't necessarily gotten to that phase yet in Bitcoin, but perhaps some of that mania was drained out into the Dogecoin mania, essentially. Can you kind of speak to are we headed into the next multi-year bull market in Bitcoin? And why didn't we see the blow off top?
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack as well. I think firstly that we probably, a lot of these coins that have no utility usurp some of the money that would have went into real projects. So that's one thing. But there's also a number of other things too, where we have to look at just the overall sentiment, crypto sentiment, and then. But the most important thing is the halving cycle. You alluded to these. Bitcoin has these bull bear markets, and the typical cycle lasts about 4 years. So a lot of the reason that I predicted this would be greed. I mean, in the charts, like you mentioned, I do write on the technicals 4 days a week. So I look at these charts every day almost, and it just looked like 65K might be a point where we would reverse. So that there are a number of things to look at, but overall, you can also check out the DeFi scene. The DeFi scene grew by many orders of magnitude over the last couple of years, and it also appears, that's one of the charts that I sent you guys. It also appears to be a double top on the DeFi chart. So I just think that there's a number of variables, and that's why you can never get it exactly right. But if you looked at this from a rational perspective, I think that this made perfect sense. And maybe the most important thing to look at overall is the diminishing returns on these networks. These networks basically mimic Metcalfe's law, or embrace Metcalfe's law, where they over time these networks are going to grow, like these monetary and blockchain networks will grow. But when you can see the ones that have utility, you can see that like comparing it to something like Facebook. But people forgot about diminishing returns. A lot of people that were saying we were going to 200 plus or 188k Bitcoin or whatever they were saying, the Plan Bs and a lot of these other guys. I don't think they took that into account, that the larger the market cap gets, the more money it takes to come in. I mean, it seems like such an elementary thing to account for, but I don't think they did. And I think that people just overestimated how many people were going to rush in. And one last thing I wanted to say is that I think we sort of I think we did see the blow off top. I think the blow off top was basically 65k, the run to 65k, and that people were fooled by the next run up, which would be the double top. I think all the money printing over the last couple of years, everyone saw the statistics. Like 40% of all dollars have been created over the last 18 months or whatever it is now. So I mean, I think that kind of made us front run the cycle. Now I could be wrong. We could go up somehow, miraculously continue on, but based on where we are, Bitcoin peaked on December 16th or 17th of 2017, and we made that $69,044 top on November 10th. So it was only a 40-day difference. So I'm pretty confident that we made it, but we'll have to wait and see.
What is your timeline here for the coming bull market? Now, I think that so much has changed since 2017. You and I talk about that quite a bit. Geopolitically, everything is different. Also, in Bitcoin, now we've got massive companies buying significant Bitcoin totals. MicroStrategy comes to mind. This has essentially become a Bitcoin hedge fund. So, and I think that further companies are only going to follow Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy into
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin. Nation states, El Salvador, it has adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. That the main effect thereof will probably be a lift of consciousness amongst the El Salvador people about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and blockchain, and also create a kind of redoubt for Bitcoiners to go and live in Bitcoin City, which is being funded through Bitcoin bonds. However, El Salvador is buying significant amounts of Bitcoin too. So the fundamentals have completely shifted. So,
Mm-hmm.
what are the implications of that for the coming bear market?
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see how the nation state narrative plays out over the next 2 years of the bear market. If I'm correct, and it does begin, or whenever it begins, there are people that believe in these super cycles or these extended cycles, and I've never been an extended or super cycle theorist or whatever you want to call it. Like we have all this evidence. It's not apodictically certain, but we have the evidence of the past. We can look at the data and say, yeah, we've followed these cycles so far. So why is this one different? Because I don't know. Maybe people that are controlling the narrative within the crypto community. Sometimes those people are the loudest, and they might be. I'm not going to point fingers, but maybe they are, working for exchanges, or they have some sort of skin in the game where they they want it to go on, or they're going to try to control the narrative that it's never going to end. But I think people that are just rational and honest have to, sometimes you have to, the music stops and you have to be honest about what's going on. And it just feels like one of those moments where a lot of people aren't ready to concede yet, but if they don't, have fun on the way down, basically. But I would like to add that I haven't sold. I'm long Bitcoin, so my opinion of Bitcoin, like you noted, the fundamentals haven't changed for me in the slightest overall. In the long run, I just sold a lot
They
of my.
have changed. They are just like even more
Right,
clear
right,
now.
right. To the pot, yeah.
The fundamentals have
Nothing
only
negative,
gotten
right,
better. The
right.
fundamentals have gotten better.
Right, right. 100% agree with you there. The fundamentals have gotten better. Nothing's changed in regards to them getting worse, is what I meant. Absolutely. And yeah, so I'm still bullish. I only unloaded alt positions, so I use those mostly to speculate, honestly, on to get more Bitcoin, fiat, and gold and silver, and more crypto if I can time these things the right way. So that's the end game. And I am long a couple other projects like Chainlink. I don't know if you happen to catch that, but Eric Schmidt, former CEO of Google, just joined them as a strategic advisor, Chainlink Labs. So I think that's super bullish for the industry and just them in particular as well. So I think there's a lot of projects like them. Solana, um, Ethereum. I know Ethereum. I think Ethereum has its scaling issues, but the industry has grown up so much over this last bull run that it's like I think people know this entire space is inevitable now, and that it's a force to be dealt with. So it's not going away, but it's just this is how it works in crypto. There are these cycles, and you can use them as opportunities, basically.
Do you think that we're going to have a shorter cycle, bear cycle, considering this improved fundamental outlook in theory?
I'm just gonna stick with the same pattern, to be honest with you. I think that here, I think we're probably in for at least 18 months to 20, maybe 30 months of bearish price action. I know I'm maybe one of the only people out there saying this. I haven't seen a lot of people saying this, but I don't think anything has changed yet from that perspective. We broke $3 trillion market cap. We're back under 2.5 trillion. Let me check the exact number as we're on here. It is. Um, Total market cap for crypto 2.36 trillion. So we've lost over $1 trillion now in value total across the board over the last 2 weeks or so. Or since we made the high, I guess you could say. So yeah, I just think it's time, and this is when a lot of the maximalists, and we've talked about this before. The maximalists will be washed away, and the projects that have no utility, and will get back down to brass tacks, and the good people will remain, and the people that have done the economic studying, that studied economic theory, and understand the Bitcoin's here to stay and the sound money will be around. But yeah, these things have to happen, and we'll get back. We'll be better, and we'll do it again. So, but I do think there'll be a lot of plays in the DeFi space potentially, like metaverse plays and stuff like that in the bear market. So I'm not full bear. I think there'll probably be some bullish stuff happening in DeFi, sort of like how it front ran the Bitcoin bull market this time.
Where do you think those tokens might be, or those DeFi apps, dApps, might be that do well over the next? You say, I think when you say 18 months, you're being a kind of conservative. We're looking at like the last bear market lasted closer to like 36 months approximately. So I think that 30-month period, that second number you threw out, is more maybe
Hmm.
what you feel. Is that right?
Right.
And then, so which DeFi might do well over this 30-month period, we'll call it?
Yeah, I could see something like Mana doing well. Decentraland, that's one that I'm interested in. Full disclosure, I've invested in that one, but I did, like I said, unload a lot of those positions. So they're all going to find, in my opinion, they'll probably all free fall with Bitcoin, and then they'll find a new bottom, and then those kind of projects might rally. I don't know if they'll make new highs in the bear market or not, but I could see maybe something like that happening, or maybe the new ones that launch, maybe the ones that didn't launch didn't get out in time during this bull run. But yeah, I could see something like that. Sand also, like these metaverse plays where you can go in and buy a virtual property and these skins and stuff. I mean, this is where we're heading, whether people like it or not. I'm not big on running around in Decentraland personally, but I'll invest in it because I can see that's where the world's going. As more and more people are locked in their houses basically around the world, and they're shutting everything down again to some degree around the world. Not to be hyperbolic, but a lot of places in Europe, we see them shutting down. So more people are looking for opportunities in DeFi and online, and I could see maybe something like that being a good play. But never, like I said, never advice, but those sort of projects might do well. And then I could see something like Chainlink. I mentioned Chainlink earlier. I'm a big Chainlink bull long term. I could see it probably leading the bear market again, kind of how it did last time, because um, they're just a pro. They're just project that has good people. Ari Joel's part, chief scientist at Chainlink Labs, and he was one of the people that helped develop proof of work, coin proof of work. And then Sergey Nazarov. They have just a lot of good people. And now, I mentioned Eric Schmidt, former Google CEO. So I could see projects like that. I could see doing well, and maybe something like Solana or one of these uh, newer smart contract platforms might do well as well. But I don't know if Solana is going to be able to go back up and make challenge the high of 259 or whatever it was, something like that, to in the bear market, because it's already down to under 180 today. So I could see all of the alts getting sliced in half still, and maybe another 30% on top of that. Not to be on here, the total bear on here, but if anyone follows me, they know I'm just I try to be as honest as I can be about what I'm seeing, and I'm not always right. But on this one, I think I've been pretty accurate. I think that 2019 call is going to turn out to be pretty legendary, to be honest.
We're sitting down on StockPulse.com with the legendary RL Bryer. I wanted to kind of talk more about Bitcoin, but then remind me before we run out of time. We got about 14 minutes left, so I want to kind of talk about Bitcoin a little bit more. I want to hear maybe what your thoughts on Ethereum, and then Chainlink and Decentraland. So, starting with Bitcoin, tell us more about your view of Bitcoin right now as it is at the end of 2021, heading into 2022. We've heard what you said, but perhaps there's like news events that you're looking at right now, headlines that are making you nervous. You mentioned the stock market. Do you think that's really what's happening here? That we might see like a Christmas crash, a legendary historical Christmas crash here ahead of Christmas? There's just so much that's gone on in particularly the Bitcoin space. I'd like to kind of you know, I guess pick that bone dry.
Right.
So if that's even the right saying. So tell us more about Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, if you look at the overall euphoria that was coming into the Bitcoin market, I don't know how many people were on social media watching this. I think most of us are on social media in some way or another: Facebook, Twitter, one of the decentralized platforms, Hive, whatever. You could just sort of start feeling that it was just buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip, and that's good. That's good if you're like in 2019 or 18 or 2020 when the cycle just started reversing to the upside. Maybe that's a good philosophy or psychology at that level. But when you're only 40 days away from the where it topped on the previous or less than just over 44 days, I think. When you're only 44 days away, the number I was explaining earlier, from the 2017 top, it's kind of like, to me, it just shows that people were being irrational, and and I think people sort of started listening. Like, I was a big proponent of, I'm not going to talk bad about anybody, but Michael Saylor, and Michael Saylor came in, and it was all you know maximalism, and this sort of like, we don't have to do the economic education, it's just 100K's programmed in, and it is probably programmed in long term, but it's not programmed in this cycle. And I think, and you can look up the videos of him telling people, what he would do. He would mortgage his house or whatever to get more Bitcoin and all that stuff. Not to paraphrase it, something like that. So it's just like, when people start talking like that, you kind of know that maybe the end is coming soon. And I just think that sort of euphoria was just written all over the wall, mixed with the dog coins that we noted earlier. People throwing darts just at projects that like have 100 trillion in supply, and aren't decentralized and had no utility, didn't even have a DEX, a decentralized exchange, to do basic AMA, automated market maker things where they could swap and farm for APY. So that stuff was a big top signal for me. And then, yeah, the stock market is looking pretty weak right now, and it just kept making new highs. So people have the Wall Street bets, and everybody sort of just has this philosophy of they're just going to continually buy the dip. And one day that it reverses, and those people that really don't do the technical analysis and don't pay attention to the empirical data, are going to get caught on the wrong side of that trade eventually. It doesn't. All good things must come to an end. So it is what it is, and I'm excited about the opportunities that are forthcoming, basically. And what do I see as far as like these countries? I'll be very interested to see if they continue to buy the dip. I mean, they probably will because they're doing it with taxpayer money. But as far as Michael Saylor, I was thinking about that today. I was thinking, what will Michael Saylor do? What will he do if he become if he when he eventually, if I'm right, he's probably going to have a position in the red eventually, to some degree at least, because I think his most recent buy was just a month ago or something like that. I don't pay super close attention to what he's doing because I wasn't a huge fan of the maximalism, but yeah. So I just think this is what we're up against. Maybe like you said, probably I would have to say around 30 months. That would probably be where I'll be starting to increase my dollar cost average position back in. But I think we could find a bottom before that, and then maybe rally, go back down, go back up, and that we'll probably start gaining momentum again. Around 30 months, if I had to guess. Maybe somewhere around 2020. Sorry, 2020. Put us into what 2024 ish, late 2023, 2024, and then we're back here in 2025, maybe something like that. Talking about $200,000 to $250,000 Bitcoin. I haven't really sat down and done the projection on that one yet, as we're just coming to an end on this one. But yeah, so we'll see.
If I were Michael Saylor, what would I do if I'm in the red on the Bitcoin purchases? What would you do? So I guess BlockFi, we call it BlockFi. See if I can get an APY on my Bitcoin, or I'd be convincing traditional financial institutions to view Bitcoin as collateral so I can take out debt. What would you do if you were Michael Saylor?
I would just hodl strong, to be honest with you, because I think that his mentality, or his overall game, his play, the play he's doing is probably the exact same play I would be doing if I had that kind of money. I don't knock anything he's doing from a playbook uh, perspective, but just Main Street and a lot of people that are average Joe investors don't really. It's just dangerous, in my opinion, to sort of talk about people putting up their houses and things like that, or even talking from your own perspective, what you would do, what I would do, if the way people talk. So I just that bothers me a little bit, but hopefully nobody did that. But some people probably did do that, and there's also a lot of people that irrational exuberance in greed are just a hell of a drug. It seems like greed is a hell of a drug, and the Dogecoin peak was at 73 cents, and it was like every time I've been talking about crypto for I found Bitcoin in 2009. I've been talking about it since then, telling people about it. I had people that I've been friends with for over a decade, or no, years, 2 decades, messaging me about crypto for the first time, and it was always Dogecoin. So that was another thing that I started to realize, that maybe that 65K call was going to be pretty close, because when I started seeing that euphoria, I also had a feeling that we were probably drawing to an end sometime soon. But as we sit here now, we're just under $48,000 recording this on the 9th of December. So we'll see if I'm right. I could be wrong. I'm human. I'm interested to see what happens this Q1 of 2022. If I'm wrong, we have more opportunity to the upside. I don't short Bitcoin, so I'm not taking a short position or anything like that. So I'm in it for the long run. I'll continue to dollar cost average probably under $100,000, because I think in the long run, Bitcoin will probably go over a quarter million on the next cycle. We're pretty close, if I had to guess, and then sometime this decade, over 500,000 is my estimate.
What's your view of Ethereum currently, fundamentally or in general, as far as the chart looks?
From a technical chart standpoint, Ethereum's been outperforming Bitcoin vastly. I don't know the exact number. It's somewhere around it's around 700 or 800%. It's funny that you can even have such a wide spread in crypto, but it's something like that right now. I don't know the exact number. I haven't checked today, but it outperformed it vastly, and I think that is because of just the what we talked about earlier, as far as Metcalfe's law and these blockchain networks that launched 4 year or launched 6 years after Bitcoin in 2015. So um, I think that's part of it, and then I do think that we'll see it will continually diminish against the market, and Solana will be the one that outperforms Ethereum, and it already did this time, and it'll do it next time. I think it was up just last week. I don't know the number today. It was up right around 11,000%, and Ethereum was up around 800, 900% at that point, 900%, I think. So you can, I mean, we're talking about a 10,000% spread. So, or, virtually. So I think that'll probably continue, and then something like Avalanche as well. It was up like 4,500% a few days ago, and I don't know what it is today for the last 12 months, but I think that the as we see more and more people get into DeFi and use these smart contracts for a multitude of things, that will be what we really see. I think take off and go parabolic in the bear market is that a lot of these companies that miss this run are going to be just licking their chops for the next one and the opportunity to implement smart contracts with their businesses, and they're going to want a piece of this pie too, as they see MicroStrategy countries buying Bitcoin. It's just going to really I think it'll the whole space will continually climb over this decade, in my opinion, and we'll see something like um, maybe the next cycle top would be closer to $10 trillion or something like that. And with that would not probably put Bitcoin ahead of gold, but I do think the one after that might be the one where gold gets where Bitcoin passes the gold market cap.
Gold market cap. So I believe that is like Bitcoin specifically. It would be $500,000 to $600,000 per Bitcoin.
I think that's
And
correct. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So I think that would put that would line up with my $500,000 by the end of the decade, probably per Bitcoin, and we'd probably knock off gold at that point. And I like gold too, but I'm more of a Bitcoin bull, so that's why I say it like that. And yeah, I think actually just to talk about gold for a minute, I don't claim to be watch gold charts every day or anything like that, but I think gold, as far as technically, probably looks better than anything right now. So I could see maybe gold making another high soon, or at least going up. And it was in a little downward channel. It looked like it had a little room to run. So I think we could see maybe gold make a little bit higher move here in the next few months. But um, especially if people start freaking out about inflation a little bit more, as we're getting close to the holidays now, and with the talk of tapering and all this stuff, which is one of the reasons that a lot of people didn't think that the Bitcoin mania was going to end. But I think that the cycle is stronger than anything. So I just think that the way that this is set up monetarily with the halvings of Bitcoin, that it's just too strong to overcome yet. Maybe when we do get up to that 10 trillion aggregate market cap, the cycles do get a little longer. But I just right now I don't see any reason to think they're going to stop.
what are your thoughts on silver fundament technically right now?
I haven't looked at the silver chart in a while. Silver's something that another money that I would like to have, get more of. So that's just my goal, is to keep acquiring, DCA into all these the best money in the world, which I view as Bitcoin, gold, and silver. So everything else to me is pretty much not even in that league. I do think that there are some interesting arguments to be made, like with privacy coins. I think that the fungibility that they provide is a reason to consider them pretty sound money. Even in comparison to those three, but they do face the sort of centralization problem that make Ether, for example, not money, in my opinion. So that from that perspective, it's everything has pros and cons.
Chainlink. So tell us, how will Chainlink fare moving forward after that initial dip where everything dips with Bitcoin or crashes and then things normalize? Where does Chainlink go from there?
Yeah, I've been looking at the Chainlink chart a little bit. I can see it going back down to like maybe $8 range, to $8. It's like 21 as we record right now. So maybe it goes back down there. Like I said, it sort of led the bear market or the bull market. So it peaked out at $52.70, and it has never really went up and challenged that to break it again. So I think that it really ran hard in the summer of 2020, and then and really it did make another high, but I think that maybe it led us into the bear and it'll lead us out. Maybe in the next, like we talked about, 24 to 30 months or whatever, 18 to 30 months, it bottoms out and starts trading in double digits again and works its way back up and hopefully leads us back into the next bull market somewhere around, I could see it going to just ballpark figure over 200, or maybe 150 to 200 would be a good estimate. Um, Something like that, I would say. Yeah.
And finally, Decentraland. And for those who don't know, Decentraland is essentially like a crypto field or based, blockchain based metaverse. So tell us what you're looking at fundamentally for for Decentraland token right now, which I believe is ticker land.
Mana, ticker Mana, MANA.
Okay,
Um,
talk to us about that.
yeah, so I don't have the chart pulled up in front of me. I think that it could go a long way down first before we see any sort of reversal, because it ran really hard over the last few months. So I don't have that pulled up right now, but I could see it retracing back all the way under $1 potentially, or in that region. And then right now I think it's like $3.70 as we record, somewhere like that maybe. And then reversing, pivoting around $1.85 or something like that. Just without the chart, somewhere in that vicinity. And then maybe going. I have no idea how high it could go, to be honest with you. I think that these metaverse plays are going to be huge in the long term, and there's going to be a lot of them. So that's something that it's very risky, in my opinion, to hold on to projects that just gain notoriety. It launched a few years ago, but it just got popular in the last few months, and an extended bear market the last 2 years or 2.5 years. It's just risky to hold an altcoin that could lose 90% and never come back. I mean, look at XRP. It was once in the top three, and it's just been decimated over the last. It made its all time high was almost 4 years ago now in the last bull market, and it never got within, I think, 48% of its all time high during this bull market 4 years later. So, and that's a project with billions of dollars invested in it. So quite a few billion. So yeah, and it had a cult fan base as well. So you just got to watch out on the way down. These things could still lose 90, 80% of their value, and maybe 90% in some cases, and never really make it back.
We've had the honor to sit down today with R.L. Bryer on StockPulse.com's Inside the Markets. RL, where can people find your work?
Yeah, you can check me out at Bryer.io. That's Bryer.io. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm pretty active on Twitter. I post a lot of my stuff on there at RBRYER23. And yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on StockPulse today, Justin. It was a pleasure to talk to you today, and always enjoy it.
Thank you, RL. We always enjoy it. This was a very rich discussion looking at some of the fundamentals and technicals right now in the Bitcoin market. You're going to make a lot of Bitcoiners not very happy when they hear this, but nonetheless, I know that this is you're calling it as you see it, and you also call the top approximately correctly, as good as anyone. I was looking at like an 80K. There was a lot of attention on that like 100K level. I did not see it getting there. I thought that certainly smart money would exit closer to 80K, but you were much closer to me. So thank you for joining us. More close than I was at predicting the Bitcoin top during this cycle. So thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you everyone for listening.